stated. 1 Corinthians 15:58 is the theme scripture that we will be coming from today. When you think about the goodness of God and all that He's brought you through, you got to have a praise in your spirit. Come on, somebody. I don't know about y'all, but there's many things that I'm grateful for to God. Many a trials, many a storms that God has saved me and my family through. This storm that we're kind of in right now, many of you may know that my baby, she's in Spain, and it has not really been good, especially for my wife. And as a man, I try to man up. And I just pray y'all just pray for me, pray for me. As I stated before, 1 Corinthians 15:58, and it says this: "Therefore, my beloved brethren, be ye steadfast, unmovable, always abounding in the work of the Lord. For as much as ye know that your labor is not in vain in the Lord." I want to encourage you all today from Nike's slogan, "Just do it." Do me a favor, just turn to the person next to you and tell them, say, "Neighbor, just do it." Many of you may know the story of NFL quarterback Colin Kaepernick. If you don't know his story, you know that I'll tell you, he was a quarterback that was at the peak of his career, and his career all of a sudden began to take a halt, began to plummet, because what he stood for and what he believed in, he decided that the platform that he was on, being on the level that he was professionally, he wanted to do something that stood out for what he believed. And so if you know that during the national anthem, he decided to take a knee. And when that happened, the media began to cover it, and it just blew up into this crazy thing. He felt like that the NFL teams kind of blackballed him, because if you know, even to this day, this guy's young. He's full of potential. He's talented, but to this day, no team have picked him up. And so he felt like that he was blackballed from the NFL. But Nike took this young man on, and he's become the face of Nike. He said something that was strong. He said, "Believe in something even if it means sacrificing everything." And I know that in 25 years past and First Lady, I know there's some things that you believed in that cost you some sacrifices. Here in our theme scripture today, we will find that this letter by Paul is written to the church of Corinthian. And he's writing this letter to encourage them, because he's refuting those that's around them that don't believe, and they basically saying that there's no resurrection of the dead. And so what he's doing is he's writing this letter to encourage them. This is where we get the theme scripture from. "Therefore, my beloved brother, be ye steadfast, unmovable." He's telling them, listen, don't listen to what they're saying. Do what you know is right. So he's encouraging them in the churches and telling them to listen, just do it. Because if you think about it, Jesus did. Because God loved us so much that he allowed his son to come and be the sacrifice for the world. Are you hearing me? The first thing that Paul will show us here in the text, that if you're going to do it, you have to have anchor stability. Tell somebody you got to have anchor stability. Because look, he says, "Be ye steadfast, unmovable." In other words, he's saying be strong and grounded. If you look at what an anchor is used for, it's used to keep the boat stationary. Are you following me? Otherwise, the boat will be drifting all over the sea. Are you with me? And that's how it is sometimes with the saints. If you're not equipped with the stability of an anchor, when the winds and the waves of trials beat against you, you're going to be all over the place. Tell somebody to anchor down. Anchor down, because if you don't, you'll be all over the place. Pastor, I know that in order for you to have stayed on the wall, you and First Lady for 25 years, your anchor had to reach ocean's floor. It had to reach rock bottom. It had to get there. Hebrews 6:19 says this hope is a strong and trustworthy anchor for our souls. It leads us through the curtain into God's inner sanctuary. I don't know why I'm saying this, but I'm going to say it. But stop dropping your anchor everywhere. Stop dropping your anchor everywhere. People, places, and some things don't have the depth needed for you to dock there. Tell somebody you got to dock somewhere else. And so not only does he show us that you have to have anchor stability, but the second thing he shows us is you have to have a relentless workflow. Watch this, because he says, always abounding in the work of the Lord. I love this because when you're anointed for ministry, regardless of the work, there's always going to be a pull on you. Are you hearing me? It's a prerequisite for the call. The B clause of Luke 12:48 says this: to much is given, much is required. So what that means is the same amount of gifts and capacity that God graces you with for the call is the same amount of energy or more that's expected for you to have a relentless workflow. Tell somebody, have a relentless workflow. If God endows you with what's needed, then you're required to maximize it to its fullest potential. Tell somebody again, you have to have a relentless workflow. And we absolutely today, Pastor and First Lady, we salute you because you've exceeded those expectations. Come on and give God some praise for that. So the third thing he shows us here, that if you're going to do it, there's no wasted efforts. Because look at what he says now. He says, for as much as ye know that your labor is not in vain in the Lord. Paul is encouraging them and us that our work for the Lord is not a waste of time, y'all. That there were many times that I remember my grandmother would tell me when I was acting up as a teen, she would tell me, son, a disobedient child days are numbered on the earth. And I'm sure that she said that because sometimes it seemed that her work was in vain. But my God, if she could see me now, she would know that her efforts was not wasted. Consistency produces longevity. Labor generates reward. And only what you do for Christ will last. How many believe that? Sometimes in the vineyard of ministry, we don't see our return or on our investment as fast as we would like it. But I want to encourage somebody today that Galatians 6:9 says this: and let us not be weary in well-doing, for in due season we shall reap if we faint not. Pastor and First Lady, you've endured, and your labor have not been in vain. And today you're reaping because you fainted not. Do me a favor and tell the person next to you, tell them, say, neighbor, just do it. Now give God some praise.